Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Celts Podcast. Hope you're all well. Who's watching? Delighted to be joined by Ross and William. How are you both?
Good, mate.
Very good, Stephen, you little minx.
And also, I do want to apologise in advance for people listening along. I have new neighbours moved in and they're hammering, they're drilling. So just bear with it. You'll probably hear it in the background here. And I'll get a wee text from John being like, "Your sound shite," but sure, we'll crack on. But and I do want to obviously make people aware we have included numbers and obviously in light of recent events, both personally in my family life and other people coming out talking, that it's okay to talk if you're feeling down, you're feeling unwell, and you've nowhere to go. Just reach out to that someone. We've got Samaritans, Breathing Space, and Mental Health Scotland just going along the ticker at the bottom. If you're in any positions, reach out to them people, or even reach out to us as well, because we'd be happy to talk to you and have a laugh with you to bring you back to a good spirit type things as well. So again, just get in contact with that. And also, we're looking forward to another flag day here at Paradise. William, I mean, another one to add to the numerous collection that we have at the moment. The dominant force of Scottish football, bar one season and the last 11 seasons, so to speak. But just comment yourself briefly. How you feeling? Get into it.
I can't wait. I don't think I've ever been as excited for a season to start as I am this season. We've had a great pre-season under our belts as well, scoring barry loads of goals like we have been over the last season, playing Ange ball. I'm just buzzing for the season to start. I've never been so excited to get going again. Can't wait for Sunday.
Yeah, it is the exciting times, Ross, isn't it? I mean, we looked at pre-season there quite in depth in the last episode with Anthony and that on it, and we were talking about the results and how you can't really read much into it. But the most beneficial thing you suppose you can take from it, Postecoglou's had a full pre-season, no interruptions, no stupid early like qualifying rounds for the Champions League, etc., or Europa League. So get into this. He's got the squad as much together as he can be. He's put across his message, and as William said, it's exciting.
Aye, the preparation time that they've been allowed due to circumstances, which I mean is down to Celtic and Postecoglou, their hard work last season, has given them great well, I was going to say breathing space, no pun intended for that new number there, but and it's gave them great leeway, preparation time, and like Willie, like probably all Celtic fans, I'm absolutely buzzing. Can't wait to get going. I think, like you've touched on there, the pre-season you can't read too much into it, but I mean going forward, the second half of last season we were absolutely dynamite, and I think you could see it in fits and starts throughout the pre-season. There's work to be done defensively. You can see that we might touch on it. You can see Joe Hart's playing even higher than ever before. It's baffling, weird, scary, but Ange wants to do it. Ange has got to do it. We'll just have to get on with it, and he's brought us successful so far. So again, you just trust what he's doing, and it's a very exciting time. The new season, going into the new season always is, but it just feels that wee bit different this time for some reason.
It does feel different. I mean, Postecoglou brings a totally different type of aura with him in the terms of like Lenny done and things like that. No disrespect, obviously, and also coming to the comments, Lanky67's in telling us that Graham Alexander's was sacked. No wonder. That was an absolute embarrassment result. Alistair Jack, even on Stephen looks smart, must have a date on. I'm taking that comment.
Sharp as a tack.
Went to Celtic Park to watch Norwich game last weekend. Hatate, wow, he's on fire. Again, lots of echo on that in the comments. And also in regards to the members, Kenny McCardle's in and Craig White the Legends in, who became members of the podcast. If you want to take advantage of that, do so. 99p a month, just whatever you want to do. Again, nothing forced upon you at all. But we'll move into it, William, in terms of obviously when Postecoglou first came in, and he was speaking about it today in his press conference, saying that tomorrow is basically the only time, not tomorrow, Sunday, the league opener is the kind of last reflection on what was his first season at Celtic Football Club, which brought that success. Reflecting back on it, on his first season, you were very supportive from the start. That pillow talk you came out with, you have a big Ange Postecoglou pillow. You were right behind him from the get-go. And I'm sure you must be absolutely buzzing for him, the way it's gone at the minute.
Couldn't be more delighted. I think we've all echoed and talked about how he's quickly becoming one of our favourite, if not our favourite Celtic managers of our era. The way he is with the media, I don't think he could have done much more this first season. He's been absolutely brilliant from that first interview. I remember us doing the pod, like you say, And I said in that podcast that as soon as I heard him in that interview, it was like he was giving me a big cuddle, and he says, "Listen, don't you worry about this club anymore. I've got it." And it's exactly what he's done. He's took care of it. He's took care of us from here. And there's never, and I know Stephen always goes on about how you should be able to question the manager, and you should be able to, and which is great. It's fair enough, but I've never ever questioned one thing he's done, because he's just like an absolute, just worship everything he does, and everything he's done up until now, I've agreed with. I think we've had a good window there. I think we've tying down CCV and Jota that was the utmost importance. That's the first and foremost what we needed to do. Done that. Ecstatic. Needed another left back. We've done that. Needed to shore up defence a bit more, a bit deeper in defence, which we've done. But another centre half in, another centre mid we needed, which we've done. I'm really happy with what we've done in the window, and I'm sure there's more to come. But the squad is as strong as we've had it for a long, long, long time. I would argue it's maybe even stronger than when Rodgers was in charge, to be honest with you. I really think it is. I think it's so strong.
On paper.
I think that we're scoring goals from everywhere. It's the football he has us playing is just electric, and I think that's why we're all excited for the new. I've got a wee chair swinging a tree outside his bedroom window. Just so I think that's why I just so excited for the season to start, because I honestly think we're just free flowing, even still for last season. I've never seen a pre-season I know we've conceded goals this pre-season, but I think going forward we've looked absolutely electric still, and I think the tempo and intensity for pre-season is as good as I've ever seen it. So I'm absolutely buzzing for us to go into the season. Can't wait for Sunday. Really can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a reflective type of guy who would go over his performance and stuff in the first season, Ross. And obviously, it was great to hear that him in the press conference today. People were alluding to the fact, well, he even himself said that people questioned what I knew about Scottish football and kind of put them to the sword again in the media press conference. He's just great in terms of that, cutting people down to size when he needs to. And you look at when he came in, we were all kind of not pissing and moaning, but throwing up stink that like Kennedy and Strachan were involved. But again, as William said, he never really questions his judgment, and that's kind of came to fruition in terms of what they've contributed, as far as we know anyway. And then he's brought in Harry Kewell to kind of step alongside him. He's not demoted, but put McManus back down to the B squad to kind of be that link. So in that first season, while he's doing all this success, he's putting the building blocks in place. And that for me is something that I would class as like an elite manager. Obviously, people may laugh at that, but I think he's just something, as you said, there's a buzz going into the season that I haven't experienced before. Maybe the Brendan Rodgers era, yeah, because of the success we were having in terms of the invincible season. You were beating your rivals 5-1 every other game and kind of laughing at them. But this is a lot more closer in terms of that level. He's come in, he's brought Celtic up, he's took us out of our comfort zones, and as you rightly said, Joe Hart's playing basically as a third centre back alongside Starfelt or Carter Vickers, whoever it may be, when it come to the start of the season. But just as William done, if you're reflecting back on him at the minute, he's done a fantastic job.
Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, like Willie, I was like everybody else who has this guy. We've been over it numerous times, but as soon as he done that first press conference, I thought, right, I don't know what type of job he's going to do, but one thing I do know is I believe everything that he's telling me right now. You could just tell he's just real. He's just a normal guy to an extent. And you're right, me to say he is, for me, an elite manager. I know he's not done it. Like, obviously, Brendan Rodgers worked at Liverpool and he came in and we knew he was an elite manager. But before Postecoglou got to work, we didn't know. But I think it's evident to see that he is. He's meticulous in everything he does. And like you say, he's came in there himself and he's stuck with Kennedy in that, which it was a broken team, if you like, but he made it work. There's Willie's Doug's going after, not again. But aye, he made it work, and he promoted McManus at the time, brought him up, and then now he's got over that first sort of hurdle with the first season, where as more success we could have hoped for, if you were being real. And he's starting to, like you say, that Harry Kewell one has not been on a whim. He's available or whatever. He's been watching him. I think it's been well documented that he's been watching Harry Kewell. And it's just to start him building his team now, and adding to what he's already got, because he's happy with Kennedy. I think Strachan's away. That's right, eh? Is he not away?
Still there.
Was he still there? I thought he went.
No, Strachan's here.
That's how ineffective you think he is.
Sorry, Gavin. Well, anyway, but he's fucking class. That's all you need to know.
100%. I mean, he has overseen a lot of changes in the football department. You see, Nicholson came back in as chief executive after Dominic Mackay disappeared off the face there. Obviously, people have, including myself, different opinions on what actually happened there. Then the whole director of football scenario, we were all thinking, when's that going to be sorted? And then Mark Lawwell stepped into that breach to kind of take over our recruitment. He started, I believe, the first of this month, wasn't it? Or last month? Well, he started quite recently in terms of in the window anyway, but I'm sure he's hitting the ground running. And then again, when more change come to Celtic Football Club before the season even kicks off, and that's the announcement of Ian Bankier, whatever way he wants to call him, Ian Wanker is what I like to call him. He is leaving Celtic. He is stepping down as chairman of the board. Sounds like Vince McMahon here, doesn't it, a wee bit? The chairman of the board. But he's going in January 2023. What do you think about
that?
Was that not good?
I don't know. Yeah, it was. I think you've got a talk on for this, because we just kind of we talk about the football. We're not really into the politics as much, but going based on what I mean, you barely seen the guy anyway, which is the way it should be. But what we did see him at the start of the season. I mean, remember we talked about the interview with your man that was coming in.
Don Mackay.
Mackay at the time, and I remember his interview that Bankier was in the whole time, and he was everything. His demeanour was everything was down, and he was everything was down, and it was like really negative and all the rest of it. So, I mean,
even that.
I
know that, Chris. By the way,
I know that you're not obviously into the politics side of things, but I mean, if you're looking at the superficial side of it, and you rightly pointed to the fact that he looked like a slapped arse, it seems like a slapped arse in that.
His demeanour was, and it was all negative and the rest of it. But other than that, like, I mean, he's behind the scenes, and I don't see much of it. So, and we've been fairly successful over the past 20 years or whatever, and beyond. So, I find it hard to criticise sometimes when we have been as successful as we have been. I know we could have done more, but to be as successful as we've been over the last 10, 15 years, it's incredible what we've done as a club. And he's obviously a big part of that. So, in that sense, aye, but in other sense, no.
No, I get what you mean.
And I think he's a bit of a dinosaur as well, to be fair. And we talk about Big Don Mackay was talking about this being a modern club. I think this needs to be the way to go. We need to ship out all the deadwood and the dinosaur age and get someone in, or get a board in that's modern thinking, forward thinking. So I think it's healthy.
Yeah, 100%. I know what you're saying, William. I kind of put you on the spot there and you're not into the political side of things of the Celtic Football Club. That's fair enough. I don't really dig into it myself. I've just got opinions without really getting into the face of it and digging down deep, Ross. And you look at, as William rightly said, them press conferences where he was involved, he looked like he couldn't be arsed being there. And Don Mackay always alluded to the fact that we needed to improve and kind of modernise the structure, the famous word at the start of last season we were all banging on about, including myself. And then there's people coming in here saying about Peter Lawwell potentially coming back as chairman. I don't think that should happen, really. That's
wouldn't surprise me. No,
I know 100%. But on the face of it, the announcement was made today, and you quite rightly brought it into the chat with your cryptic messaging. But how do you feel about it yourself?
Can I phone a friend? I would like to phone Anthony. Like Wally, I don't get too into the politics of it. I know there's guys that get quite passionate about it. Anthony and John, they know better than us. But like Willie, we could have done more. You talk about Don Mackay wanting to bring in like a more modern way and stuff like that, and I get that. But people slated the board on that for him going out the door so soon. But then they brought in Michael Nicholson, who has went about his business really quietly. And at the moment, for me, from the outside looking in, the club are working really well. Bankier's been in the background doing whatever he's doing, in amongst that. But nobody's going on about modernising the club and all that now, because things are going well. But I mean, I think to an extent, again, I'm not privy to what happens in the board, but I think to an extent, Ange's self has sort of modernised the way the club have been run. And I think when he came in that first summer window, he said to himself, maybe I'm not getting the message across enough about the speed that I'm wanting transfers done. And I think between the end of the summer window and the beginning of the January window last season, he was in on them like, this needs to work better, it needs to be faster, it needs to be more professional. And you've seen it. They actually had their 3 signings in before the transfer window opened. So the board can't do any more for Ange now. Michael Nicholson can't do any more for Ange. I'm not saying Don Mackay would have been a sensation. I'm not saying he would have been, but he left. What's John saying? Things are going well, but it still needs modernised. I've not forgot. Aye, I know. I was just going to say, you can't be getting into the board, but you can't spell. You know what I mean?
I think that's a great point, by the way. And see, as long as the team's doing well, nobody bothers their ass. As soon as the team's not doing great, everybody's shouting, screaming at the board. I think it's unfair sometimes. I think the season that we did have, we lost to 10, and Lennon was in charge. We spent a lot of money that summer, probably more than we spent this summer, and we were all happy with the windows at the time. And then at the end of the season, it's like sack the board and all the rest of it. And you're like, for me anyway, it's a bit. The results on the pitch don't necessarily relay what's going on upstairs. And I think, like I said, over the past 20, 30 years, how successful we've been. It's mind-blowing what we've done as a club over the past. And they've got a big part to play in that. So I think sometimes it's a bit harsh. But I do understand other times why people have a go as well. But there needs to be a bit of a...
Aye. But I mean, I know what you're saying there, like, Willie, because... like at the end of the season when we didn't win the 10 in a row, or even throughout that season, we were playing terrible. There was no doubt about that. But people were getting into the board, and they could have done more. But at the same time, like Willie's alluded to there, they backline into the tune in the region of 20 million or something to go into that season. What more can they do? If Lennon or whoever is helping out with the recruitment side are picking the wrong players, that's not entirely the board's fault. But I mean, that's in the past. We've got
things can never be perfect, but I think we all know this. Things can never be 100% unbelievable at a club, and I think Postecoglou, in my opinion, has done really well. He's kind of merged that disconnect between the fans and the players, which really needed addressed when he first came in. And then you look at the board situation. I think you're right. The majority of the fans, if the team's playing well, kind of forget the issues at the boardroom level, which again is down to Postecoglou and the players, which is something I think he's managed extremely well. And Ross made a great point. He already fired a warning out last season about the transfers, and then Nicholson comes in and have 3 boys in before the January one even kicks off. So there's all different ways to look at it. And in strains of the doctor, Celtic will already have a replacement lined up. I think Banker was always leaving after the 10 fiasco and complete malfunction and breakdown between the fans and the club. That's a brilliant point.
I think that was the biggest point. See the whole stuff with Eddie Howe coming in and all that did a lot of damage between the relationship between us and the board and all the rest of it, because it was a absolute fiasco from top to bottom. But my point is, when it's going well, you never ever hear anybody praising. I've never ever heard one person say, what a job the board have done, brought these guys in and all that. But they're the first people to get in the neck when we're not going well. You know what I mean? Aye. And I just think sometimes you need to take a wee bit of a backseat and go look at the whole scenario. But I totally understand what people are saying, because the tail end of that, Lennon should have went months before he did go. And the whole Howe fiasco that was like, he was taking us.
Lennon shouldn't have been appointed.
He shouldn't have been appointed in the first place. Howe should have been told, you're either here the next week or you're not here and we're moving on. And that was drawn out far too long as well. So there's lots of negativity as well, which I totally understand, and I they should get criticised for that, but they should also get praised when they do a good job, which I don't think they do.
I mean, the man who always said Eddie Howe wouldn't be in charge is sitting right here, but I won't dwell on that too much, lads. So we'll move quickly on, because I know it ruffles a few feathers with my podcast group anyway. So we'll just leave it. But we're going to be kicking off the season at the Flag Day. It's going to be a celebration. Postecoglou referred to it himself as the last kind of reflection point of that season. Aberdeen coming up. Paradise, full house. Lots planned on Sunday. Couple of drinks, Ross. Are you excited?
Once again, buzzing. Aye, can't wait for it. It's the new season. It's a home game. The only thing I have got a wee bit of a problem with, and it has happened before, but for me, the champions should always play the first game of the season, open it up. It's not happening again. I know Rangers playing on Tuesday night, I think it is.
Is it a major issue? Is it a major issue?
I understand why they have to play the Saturday, put it that way, but I don't, and I know it's all down to television. Aye. Well, not so much 3 o'clock, because that they can't televise that anymore. They've took that away, because that was only in for like COVID and that. But Celtic could play 12:30 and Rangers could play 5:30, like the Premier League teams do on a Saturday night. It still gives them enough recovery time. But I mean, Sky or whoever, they're king. They make the decisions when it comes to things like that. So we just have to go on with it. But
even our game on Sunday, 4:30 is a strange kick-off.
Weird, man. Aye. Why not make it 12:30 or
lunchtime?
Aye. Any other, there'll not be another Celtic game kick-off at 4:30 on a Sunday for the rest of the season, purely because the English Premier League will be back.
Yeah.
I have to take these comments, William, regardless if it's McGrath. Thanks very much. But obviously, you look at it, William, in terms of Aberdeen, they've already kicked off their season competitive fixtures in the Betfred League Cup, or whatever people like to call it now, in terms of the group stages. I think they've scored over 10 goals without reply, haven't conceded. They've obviously signed Liam Scales from us. He looks like a solid buy for them. People are already raving about his performances. And what I'm actually quite liking, now this is in regards to the whole of Scottish football, is the thought process behind actual signings now. Because I've seen Aberdeen sign 2 players from different leagues across the seas. They've tapped into the Benfica market, where Yada came from. They signed a player from their striker. He looks decent. So for me as well, Scottish football should be doing that. It's a progressive thing, instead of signing the likes of, no disrespect, to a journeyman from an SPL club to come in a free, and then they do all this weird promo video with it, and it turns out to be whoever, Considine or whoever it may be. Just, I'm picking a player in my brain here, but what do you think about their kind of activity so far and their form up to this game? Because it's pretty impressive under Jim Goodwin.
Well, I watched a few bits and bobs, and they've looked decent so far. I mean, like the opposition is nowhere near the standard of us, obviously, but they've lost a lot of big players as well this season. They've yeah, that's true. Ramsey's obviously went, isn't he? Right back. Ferguson's gone. Have they still got the big striker? What was his name? Martinez?
Ramirez. But he doesn't get looking. Get looking now.
So they've lost. So as much as they've we're saying that they've recruited well, I don't really know if they've recruited that well, to be honest with you. They've lost a couple of big players. Ferguson's a massive loss for them, and I just think they're nowhere near the standard. I honestly think they'll blow them away. I think opening day, the sun will be shining. The boys will be raring to go. Full house, like you said, just unfurling the flag. It'll be like the tail end of last season. I think the last game of last season, when it's like, let's go out with a bang. I think it's going to be, let's start this with a bang, show everybody what we're made of, and I just think we're going to run rampant.
Yeah, I mean, talking about a podcast filler, you just summed it up there. Oh, they're nowhere near a standard. Move on, but you have to talk about it. Right? You do have to.
No, I know.
You have to speak about it. I mean, Egyptian King comes in with a great point. Aberdeen will definitely struggle without Ferguson and Ramsey. Their two best players, arguably from last season. He's moved to Bologna, and Ramsey got that great move to Liverpool. But the reason why I say great recruitment is because I hate the old standing still and recruiting someone on a free. They've spent, I know it's only peanuts to us, but upwards of £1 million at the minute in the transfer market. Jim Goodwin himself even saying they're looking at different areas and exploiting different markets, which again is ambitious for a club like Aberdeen to be doing. So that's why I'm kind of saying that. And then Paul Dad said competitive fixtures is a stretch. I know they're playing like the likes of Starting Albion, but they're still winning, much like we were doing in pre-season, scoring goals. So it could be a good game, even at home. It could be a free scoring match.
Well, Aberdeen, they're a funny team, Aberdeen. They either give Celtic a really tough game or they get an absolute doing. There's very rarely anything in between. There's a lot of big scores getting predicted. You'll hear mine later. But I think Aberdeen, they massively underachieved last year. Where did they finish? 10th, I think it was. It was grim. And you have to say, in hindsight, I thought it at the time that getting rid of Derek McInnes was a bad move for Aberdeen. The grass isn't always greener. Okay, he wasn't getting the results at the time, but you look at, and it's nothing with Stephen Glass, but they were always going to drop back for me in that first season. Whether he should have got more time, I don't know. But I mean, I've not seen one name or a single player that's come in for Aberdeen. I've been weeding my own garden, just making sure Celtic's all right.
Not looking over a neighbour's fence.
Not looking. I couldn't if I wanted to. Especially it's a 6-foot fence. But just they can do what they want. They can come to town. Joe Hart will be standing in the Forge car park playing 1-2s with Carter Vickers. We'll be
That's
fine.
too far back for him.
He
needs to get up the field where can't get the Forge.
Depends what way they're shooting.
That's true, mate. That's true.
But I fancy Celtic strongly. Aberdeen, I really hope they have recruited well because I don't mind Aberdeen. They're one of the teams that I don't dislike. They're not a Hearts or a Rangers, but they're all right. But I hope they do well. But I don't see them doing much against us on Sunday. No, especially the opening game. Raring to go, proving a point. We're the best. We're still the best. Celtic were too strong.
We never stop. And what an actual well-rounded way from you two to basically not say Aberdeen are shite. Let's be honest. But here, what I will say, right? We'll speak about Celtic now in terms of the players and stuff. And we talked about Atate quite in depth last time. And a player who came back up today, he was speaking the game was Matt O'Reilly, William, and he was confirming he knew that Leicester said they were interested in him and stuff like that, and he quite likes that, which I don't, again, is a good thing. Obviously, he wants clubs to be interested, and he said it's good for Celtic in terms of the player pool to have is attracting interest from elsewhere. But for him as a player this season, he is, for me, in my opinion, he's going to kick on and be absolutely unbelievable, which might lead to maybe potentially a money spinning move. Not to throw him out the door, but if he continues that kind of upward form, he's insane sometimes. Like, and he's took over from Rodgers really well.
Different class, and the money we spent on him is like peanuts in this transfer market in this day and age. And when he does eventually go, which I hope is going to be a long time, it'll be for big money. But for me, I think he'll win Player of the Year this year in the league. I think he's going to be absolutely pivotal.
Why did you say that now? That was coming later, William.
Thinking that.
Was it really? Was that in the thingy? Didn't even read it.
You don't read it, no?
I didn't even read it. I just turn up and just do my thing. I think he's going to be pivotal to everything we do this year. I think he's going to be massive for us, and I think he's talent. He's got talent in spades. He's got everything. I think his movement's great. His passing range is great. His awareness is great. I think him and Kyogo are going to be excellent this year. I think he's going to find them. I noticed a lot of pre-season Kyogo's making the runs, and he's like a lot of time it wasn't coming off, but he's trying that killer pass to find them. And the Rogic leaving as well, it's even more imperative that he does his thing. I don't think he is going to leave anytime soon. I think anytime you see him getting interviewed, he's loving it here. He loves Ange. He loves the way we play. Social media, it's all the boys are out together, having meals together. Him and Jotas and the rest of them. I just think he's very, very happy, and I think it'd be silly to leave now and go down there. I think he can be a top player and go to if that was his ambition to play in a top club in the Premier League. I think he could one day, but for his abilities now, and for him to become what he wants to be, I think he's in the perfect place, and I think he's going to light it up this year. I think Champions League, it's going to be exciting. I've actually got goosebumps talking about it, man. I cannot believe
the Champions League music.
What a player, man! What a player! I cannot believe we got him for what was it, 1.5?
Aye,
absolute steal, absolute steal.
Unbelievable. MK Dons are still trying to claim back some of the fee. Like, let me not let it go for a long time. And the way you said about the Champions League music, I was listening to a video recently. Remember the one against City when we drowned out the noise of the anthem and the players and all? It was absolutely incredible. One thing I love about free, what a game. And one thing I do love, Ross, about this midfield in general now, it takes a lot of pressure off Callum McGregor, because for years he was our only really ball player, our pivot to drive the team forward. Now you've got Hatate, which was spoken about. Again, he's getting lots of love in the comments. Chris Fraser saying he's going to get player of the season. Everyone's kind of saying that. Hatate is definitely my nailed-on player. That's from Egyptian King as well. But you look at Matt O'Reilly, and as William said, he's just going to, for me anyway, take this season by storm. And he's ambitious without coming across, let's be honest, a dick. Because you can get players who are ambitious. They think the grass is greener. They move on, and their career kind of falls down. But he doesn't look like he's got his head screwed on. He left Fulham to pursue opportunities. He went to MK Dons. He trained by himself in a park, and he's not going to let go of what he has at Celtic lightly.
No, absolutely not. Well, I mean, you talk about he left Fulham so he could go and play football. He's now at Celtic, where he's getting regular football. If he goes to a Leicester, what is he, 21? He might not be guaranteed regular football. He's got years ahead of him in his career. Go and play Champions League football with Celtic. Show everybody what you can do. Go and play Champions League football with Celtic. Show everybody what you can do. Hopefully win another league title. Maybe a couple of trophies. All going well. Back into the Champions League again for another year. Performing. And I mean, we know he's not going to be there forever. No player is these days. But if he gives us another 2 seasons, 3, wonderful. He leaves here at 24, 25 years of age. He could, if the trajectory stays the same, he could go top 8, top 6. No problem in England if he wanted to. So, he doesn't need to rush away from Celtic. And like Willie says, he's in the perfect place. He's learning off the perfect manager. And you can see in his interviews how much respect, him alone, out with the rest of the squad, how much respect he has for Ange Postecoglou. Anytime he talks about him, there's wee quotes. I can't mind exact, but I've seen wee quotes. He looks at him, I would say, like a father figure, and that's, you want your manager to be that to your players, and that's what Ange is in stature and like the way he speaks and the way he treats players. So Matt O'Reilly has got all the talent in the world. He's got the world at his feet. Just go and do it.
I'll never forget his first. His debut is the 3-0 game against.
I think it was the Aberdeen game. Maybe the Aberdeen game.
Oh, that's right, the week before. But then that was that his
no. I think I can't mind, Willie. Fuck.
But I remember
the Aberdeen game was after the Rangers game.
Never forget his interview after it, and he was like, you could see him physically shaking, and he was like, I've never felt anything like that in my life. That was just special, and it's just.
I think his debut was Tynecastle.
Was it?
I think it maybe was.
You know about Hatate when he ripped it up.
Aye.
57 yards.
I think O'Reilly. I think that was his debut.
What I do know is that you knows as well, Postecoglou recruits some personality as well, so obviously that has to fit the kind of management. And one thing I'm actually interested to hear from you, William, I know you're a big fan of David Turnbull, the Bull. He's back among the squad. He's back among the goals and assists. Where does he fit in this season? Obviously with Hatate and O'Reilly. as the kind of probably will be the main starters. But I heard Postecoglou refer to it again in his press conference saying he's not looking for a first team or a second team. He's got a squad of players there who's capable of filling in whenever. But you look at Turnbull, he'll want to play. Like,
I think he will play a lot this year. I do. I think Ross always alludes to that it's to play the fixture. And in the pre-season this season, he's actually played Turnbull and O'Reilly quite a lot, which for me it's kind of the argument that we had last year every other week, where it was like we can't play Rogic and O'Reilly together. It's one or the other. And I personally think it's the same with Turnbull and O'Reilly. I'm not so sure Turnbull can be that box-to-box midfielder that Hatate plays in.
Mm-hmm.
But saying that, we've just talked about the quality of the opposition in the league. I think there's more than enough opportunity to play both of them in games against that and just let Calmac sit there. So there's going to be plenty of games where he's going to play. But for me, the first three in the midfield are Calmac at the 6, Hatate number 8, and O'Reilly as a number 10. And I think every Champions League game, that's what needs to go. That's how we need to play. But saying that, I mean, Messi doesn't burn it up every game. I mean, an hour into a game and O'Reilly's having a stinker, then Turnbull's not a bad replacement to come on, is he?
Sorry, Billy.
That's all right, on you go, mate.
No, I was just going to say, I understand what you're saying and the fact that Turnbull and O'Reilly maybe can't play in the same team or whatever, but you look at it at the start of last season, we spoke, like you've alluded to there, about Rogic and O'Reilly not being able to play in the same team. At the start of last season, Turnbull played in the same team as Rogic and he got goals and he done well for us and he carried us. He was one of the players that carried us through. So for me, he probably could play in the same team as O'Reilly because O'Reilly could play. He's almost a carbon copy, O'Reilly, Rogic.
Yeah.
Other than maybe, I don't think he runs with the ball as well as Rogic did. There's no many do. But I think it's a combination that could work. Dare I say, against lesser teams.
Aye, that's what I was saying, mate. In the league, I think the two of them, and he's done it in pre-season there.
What did you say? Sorry, did you say that there? Sorry.
So in the league, I think the two of them, he definitely can play 100%. And we've seen, I mean, Hatate's absolutely smashed the ground running in pre-season this year, like he did last season, but he burnt out the tail end of last season. I know a lot of people got on his back. So if he maybe does something similar this year, because he played fucking every minute since he joined us, and he came straight for that league, without a break. So he's not going to want to do that again. And I totally agree with you, mate. With lesser sides in the league, I reckon you're looking to score barely loads of goals. I think Calmac can just sit there in the 6, and they two can just go and do their thing. 100%, mate.
They can even rotate it. If they've got a lot of the ball, do you know what I mean? Right, on you go, Calmac, you have a go and I'll just sit back because we've got the ball anyway in the final third most of the game. I think you look at Hatate, people are saying he could be player of the year. I mean, you can't disagree with that. I think he'll be like our Petrov this season. I think he'll be up and down the park constantly. He's engine, and he'll get goals. I just think that the choices we've got in the middle of the park, you don't want to get carried away saying words like exceptional in that. Certainly domestically, we are going to look exceptional. We're going to look exceptional. Whether we can be exceptional in Europe is another thing completely. I always worry. I know I'm tailing off a wee bit here. I always worry about Europe because you look at, and I don't like to compare us to them at all, but you look at Rangers in Europe last season. I think they're more geared up in terms of how they play. They're more rigid. Celtic are far better to watch, and I would rather watch Celtic playing than Rangers every day of the week. But
is this you basically saying Postecoglou needs a plan B?
Well, no, not a plan B, but the way Postecoglou plays, is the quality Celtic are able to bring in going to be good enough to play that style in Europe? I don't. If Postecoglou was managing, just for talking's sake, right, a Real Madrid, right, or a Liverpool or a Man City, and he could get the quality, that other level, that next level of player, to play the way he wants to play, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind he could have their teams playing as good as a Guardiola, a Klopp, and go and like do damage in the Champions League. But my worry is the level of play that we're able to attract because of the amount of money we've got. Are we going to be able to play that style against the top teams? It's a big question. It's a worry, but time will tell.
I will definitely find out this year because he'll not play any other way. I can't wait, honestly. But I think the quality we've got, like I said, I think that this squad at the start I said I think it's as good as we've seen since O'Neill. I think it's up there with Rodgers and arguably better. I think that midfield three is as good as Celtic can attract.
Aye.
In the way that the market
100%.
we're in now, we cannot buy, and I think this is as good as we can get in it, and I think it's going to show this season.
I think as well, I think what Alistair's saying here, I don't really agree with it. I think they're coming back down there for a bit of realism, and it's fair enough because I think a lot of the major issues in the back of Celtic fans' mind at the minute, it's great being in the Champions League, but one of my major issues is I hate going there just to be thankful or just to make up the numbers. I want to be there to take part and get results and try and get through the last 16 and maybe chance our luck and get a good tie and qualify for a knockout stage as well. One time in my life, you know what I mean? But I think what you're saying is relative to what we're facing now going into the season in terms of all the positivity, because you look at it, he brought Muir in, and Muir himself said he's played a lot in a defensive kind of 2, which he could fit in beside, you never know, Calmac with a number 10 in front of them. They're sitting, maybe that's what he's planning for Europe. Again, there's different variations of his tactics and his play. This whole open base kind of playing, inverted fullbacks, Joe Hart coming into midfield, sometimes a striker and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's going to. I don't know if that's going to float the boat in Europe. And you mentioned the likes of Liverpool, Madrid, and whoever it may be. If they get a hold of us and we make one mistake, that's a ball over the top and it's a goal. I think we all know that's going to happen in regards to that. But I'm buzzing to be back in the Champions League, and I do expect us to compete in some sort of way, whether it is for that third place and dropping down to the Europa League and making a fist of it again after getting the experience of the Champions League, learning off better players. And I know Rodgers always spoke about kind of learning off your opponents who are higher caliber, like Iniesta, Xavi, whoever it was at that time, playing them types of teams. So it is an interesting point, and I do agree with what you're coming from, because it worries me. It worries me greatly that we're going to get smacked about again, like from a PSG or a Bayern Munich. But it's one of them. By the way,
we might, and we probably will, because there's a lot of teams in Europe who'll get smacked about half of them. Like Liverpool, Man City, PSG, all hammered teams last season in the group stages. We might be on the end of one of them. You have to take it, because that's where I was going to say that's where we are as a class. That's no right to say that, because it's just where football is at the minute. The gap, and lesser teams in Scotland could argue the same. With Celtic and Rangers, the gap, the money and all that, and it's the same in Europe. We probably will get slapped about in one of the games, which is why I'm trying to no curb the enthusiasm, because why should we do that? Why should we do that? But you have to. I'm trying to prepare myself for one of the nights, and to try and not be shocked by it, if you know what I mean. It might happen. But by the way, Ange and the players are not going into that competition to make up the numbers. He'll not allow that. It's just not the mindset. We've got a winning mentality, but you just have to realise that it's the Champions League, it's not the Europa League. There might be a scudding on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, see, for me though as well, I always think that would you rather sit in and play the most part of the bus and lose 1-0, or have a go and lose 4-2, but it's like a massively exciting game?
That's a fantastic point, kind of what you were saying.
That's for me. I'd much rather do.
I agree with it.
Much rather do that than sit. I mean, like obviously one of our most famous wins was Barca 2-1 with Tony Watt. We played that game the way we did. 9 times out of 10, we were getting absolutely destroyed because they played us off apart. We defended brilliantly, yes, but 9 times out of 10, we get battered there. 100%. I don't want us playing that football. I want us to keep playing the football we're going to be playing the league, and I think Ange will do that. I'm really excited for the season ahead. I think Ross is right. I think that might be the case that we might get him for a scudding. Rodgers, I thought, was a bit naive sometimes with the way he played, and he wouldn't change it. But I think Ange's philosophy is totally different to Rodgers. I know Rodgers was a possession player, but the team now is so much more energetic, and the intensity is incredible. I just think that we should just go. I think we've got such a talented squad. Just go out and do your thing, man, and enjoy it, and see where it takes us. Because I think we could, as much as we say that there might be a few scuddings, I think there might be a few surprises in there as well.
By the way, I'm not saying I don't want him to change his style. My question is, are we able to play that style and not get battered? Hopefully we can. I think at home, you don't know who we're going to draw, right? So it's a bit of a moot point at the minute, but we'll see who we draw and we'll go for there. Then we'll start making predictions. But my worry is, are we solid enough? Do we need that? Is Armoy, is Ideguchi, is McCarthy going to be that guy that can sit? Because for me, we'll need somebody to do that in the Champions League, regardless of what the rest are doing.
I think if we had a Scott Brown in his prime, you'd be more confident going into these games, wouldn't you, than we do now. I totally hear what you're saying.
I don't know if Ideguchi, or for me, it's maybe a bit unfair on the guy. I don't think he can be that guy, what I've seen in pre-season. I don't think McCarthy can. I think McCarthy can be the guy to come in with 10 minutes to go and shore it up if we're needing to get over the line in a game. Can Armoy be that guy? I don't know. I think Armoy's a decent signing. Can he be the guy to sit and win back the ball? Time will tell. But
great point with Gucci, because I always thought he was that player. But for what I've seen in pre-season, he's a far more technical player. I don't think
he's going to make it at Celtic, to be perfectly honest with you.
I know he's I thought he was that tough tackling midfielder, but for me, for what I've seen in pre-season anyway, I know none of us as fans have seen much of him. But for what I've seen, he's a far more technical player. Like the number 8 or even the number 10, he likes to get the ball and likes to pass it. I've not seen that tough tackling hard man side.
Agree with that.
So it's an interesting one.
I think Gucci, I mean, to say he won't make it is a bit of a stretch at the minute, because we still have the likes of Johnson on the books, Yadi on the books, and they've been questioned for the numerous years of being a Celtic Football Club. This guy is just in the door, and I think there is a possibility. There is a possibility,
because you were saying Joe Hart would never make it and Aaron Moyle will never make it before they've even signed.
Whoa! No, I didn't say Joe Hart would make it. I said I disagreed with the signing because I didn't think he was that great.
Right, okay.
But so there we go, and we're getting spammed again by some absolute weirdo in the YouTube chat, but I'll just keep them to the side.
Sure, man. Here, I want to.
I can't show it out. It's one of these. It's like one of these dirty things. I'm not going to show it.
Yes, get it up.
People watching them. But
rubbing my thighs.
Stevie Kenny, here comes the you know what here. But I think in terms of the Champions League issue, it's a great point to raise, because whether or not you want to think about it at the start of the season, it's going to come quick and fast. I think the draw's at the end of August, and then we'll be starting the games pretty soon after that. So we're buzzing to be in it, but a wee bit of realism is good to kind of kick it off as well in terms of where we're at as a squad. And moving on to the game itself now, William, obviously Celtic scoring and for fun basically in pre-season, albeit conceding a few. I'll just go straight into it, because it's probably one of the only times in this whole of run-up in pre-season where line-up and score predictions can come into the chat. So where are you at?
Line up and score?
Yep.
Well, I think the first 11 pretty much picks itself, to be honest with you. So I think you'll have Hart, Juranovic, CCV, although I take it Starfelt's not fit.
No.
Get up. If it's all that stuff, they should upload the Kyogo's 2 goals in the final, because that gets me going more than anything. It's an interesting one at centre half, because Welsh has played a lot pre-season. Your new man's came in, played a few minutes. I don't know. I think he'll probably go with Welsh, to be honest with you. It looks like with the rumours that have been
thrown about.
I think is he? I think
Welsh picked up a knock in training.
I seen a rumour the other day that we rejected a bid for Welsh because he's wanting. He's a big part of the first team plans this season. So I would, and we always say whenever he's came in, he never puts a foot wrong. He's been excellent. So I think he'll probably go with Welsh. I think he'll stick with Taylor at left back for the time being. The midfield three: Calmack, Rio, and O'Reilly, which is a scary, scary thought, by the way. If I was playing midfield for any team against that, I would be going down with a hamstring injury in the warm-up, because that's just, it's no right, it's no fair. And the front three: Jota, Maeda, and Kyogo. I think that it's an interesting one up top. With
it is.
Either Kyogo or Big Gio. I know Gio's not played as much this pre-season. He's had a bit of time off with having a child and stuff like that. So I think Kyogo will be the main man. I think Kyogo's Ange's teacher's pet. I think he loves him. So I think he's the main man. So I think that'll be the first 11, and I think we're going to give him an absolute trouncing. I think it'll be 5-0. I think we're going to score goals for fun. And I think the likes of Turnbull and all that will get on as well and run the show. I just think it's going to be magic opening day, unfurling the flag, great performance, bumping Aberdeen, a few beers with my mates. Can't beat it, can't wait.
You can't beat it at all. And come to yourself, Ross. I mean, Williams confident 5-0. Absolute doing for Aberdeen on the cards, sent back up there with the sheep. What are you thinking?
In terms of the lineup, I think it'll be, like Willie says, the team pretty much picks itself. I think it'll be Joe Hart.
Can you pick it?
Aye, I can pick it, kid. If you shut up, I'll tell you.
I knew that was coming as soon as I said it.
Instantly.
Joe Hart, Taylor, Welsh, Carter Vickers, Juranovic, McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly, Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, and purely because Giacomakis hasn't played as much. Purely because Giacomakis hasn't played as much football in the pre-season. I'll go Kyogo. But any of the two of them could play in it when they take any away for the team. But scoreline 7-1.
Oh!
7-1.
Wow. High ambitious. I'll go Joe Hart, Ralston to start. I think he's been a wee bit more impressive than Juranovic in this pre-season, which pains me to say a wee bit, but Juranovic obviously didn't play that much. Carter Vickers, Welsh, Burnaby to start. I'll go McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly, Jota, Maeda, and Kyogo, and I'll go 4-0 for Celtic on the day. And people will be obviously thinking, is that us done? But it's not. We still have a wee bit more to go, a couple more topics to talk about. So stay with us, and I do appreciate obviously people who are watching along: Egyptian King, Stevie Kenny, Phil McGinley, Stevie Boy, Patrick McLaughlin. Everyone's in getting involved in the chat, and as you can see, some absolute crackers of comments here. So keep them coming in. And Phil McGinley says, "Spicy stuff, Ross. Love it." And then Chris White legend, "I'll take a joint of it, Ross." We're back to the drugs again. We're back to the drugs.
I know.
I don't pass it around. It's too much COVID.
By the way, I need to nip in with something, because I meant to say it earlier when you were talking about Ange and the person talking about signing personalities, and it made me really think bang on, because I mean we've all had debates about like Julian and Urhoghide and on these players. We're looking at them and we're like, they look like Urhoghide especially. We're like, he looks a player, but Ange just doesn't fancy him. And I think that might be just it. That's the personality thing. It just doesn't see them fitting in, and it's not so much about the ability. It's about how they are. Maybe I'm reading too much, but I just came to me there that I didn't see it back then. And I knew if I didn't see it, I'd probably explode. My face was a bit red.
And by the way, in a nutshell, Julian's quality, but he's a prick.
Right, fair enough. We'll get into the argument again, are we? Like, are we go down that?
No, we're not. No, absolutely not. I've no geared up for that.
It's fair to say
he's quality too.
Fuck up. It's fair to say that obviously Julian is now fancied by Postecoglou, and some may say he's out the door. Well,
I would say
it's
so.
obviously
Sunshine follows thunder.
Quiet assassin. A soft pick at that. I think that perfectly sums that up. And we'll move on to your favourite aspect of pre-season, William, and that's transfers, rumours, what's going to happen. Toot the horn, we're in it. And obviously, Ayeti and Johnson are both confirmed by Postecoglou are looking out. Johnson is looking for a loan move. Postecoglou trying to sort that out with Standard Liège, but I think it's on the back burner at the minute. But if reports are led to believe, we have to ship players on to get players in. Do you think it's vital that we get rid of the dead wood?
Yes, 100%. I think that's. I think the squad as a whole, but it's really deep now. We've got 2 or 3 options for each position, and more in some. And I think there's a few that have been about now for a while. Johnson, I think the talent's there, but he's been on the injury table more than he's been on the pitch. I think it's time to, and I know it's talked about a loan. I don't know if there's a view to being a permanent, but I think his time's run at Celtic. I think he needs to move on, not just for our benefit, but for his as well. Make a career out of something, because he's not done much, and I think that he's way down the pecking order. He's at least 3rd or 4th choice for me in his position. So he's a definite, and yet he's and I can see why Ange doesn't fancy him, because for what we have seen of him, he's not been interested at all. And I actually do think we could be doing with bringing a 3rd striker in. I know in pre-season when he's not played Kyogo or Gio, he's put Maeda up there, and he does a job. But for me, Maeda's their left forward, so I think we could be doing with bringing another striker in. But I can understand why we need to offload Ayeti to get him in. I mean, there's a few more. For me, McCarthy, Stephen, I totally agreed with you when he first came in, and I still agree now. I think it's mad that he's been given a 3-year deal or whatever it is at his age, and he's not done it since he came in. I think obviously there's still a player there, but not. I always go back to, and I especially that Lennon season, I always bang on about it, and Alex Ferguson was the best at it, and it's knowing when to offload players, or when the team was on a downward spiral, we need to change it up now. And I think Ange's is the same thought, because he talks about how whenever he makes a signing, he doesn't bring somebody in to be a backup or a squad. He wants everybody to challenge for the first 11, and I don't see McCarthy challenging to be in the first 11. So he's another one. There's a few. So there's a few that I think need to go out the door, and I think more quality needs to be brought in. But to be honest with you, if the window shut tomorrow, I wouldn't be too disappointed. I think we've done well. But obviously, like everybody else, I think we'll get 1 or 2 more in, and I'll be more than happy. I think the loan market really was obviously paid dividends for us last season, getting a loan player in with an option to buy. I think that's probably, for these types of players anyway, the road we could go down. So I can maybe see 1 or 2 of them coming in. But yeah, I totally agree, mate. A lot of deadwood needs to be getting rid of before we start looking at that.
Yeah, I mean, the loan to buy thing that's kind of worked out for us with Maeda and Carter Vickers and Jada. Obviously, with the option to buy instead of the obligation for the latter of the two. I know Maeda was the obligation to buy him, so he was basically our player from the get-go. But you look at it, Ross, we've secured gents through that system, by albeit he's made an impact already in training, talking about Matt O'Reilly and how much he's benefited in his career joining Celtic, and he hopes to do the same. But before we obviously get on to where do you think needs tweaked in terms of Ayeti and Johnson, it was quite interesting to hear Postecoglou not really mention or go in depth about Ayeti, but he kind of spoke about Johnson. He hasn't missed the pre-season training session. He's been involved. He's done everything that's asked for him, and just sometimes it's a change of environment that's needed for both parties.
Aye, well, in terms of Johnson, it's like Willie said, he's way down the pecking order, and I think for him to get, now that he is what looks to be fit, he needs to.
That's a crack the pub.
Now that he seems to be fit, Johnston, the best thing for him is to play football and get match fitness then. I say it all the time, but like say Forrest and that, but he needs to go out and get that. And a loan spell would be perfect for him. Well, I think I read something that he wants to stay in Scotland, so it might be the tail end of the window. He goes to another Premier League club like an Aberdeen or something like that. I don't know. He had a chance to go to, was it is it Standard Liège, Ronnie Dyler?
Yeah.
I think he's there. He had a chance to go there, but I don't think he wants to go abroad. I don't think he's going to progress his career at Celtic. Certainly no this season. Go away, try and play football, see what happens. Go for there.
Go away.
No, but go away, play football, see what happens, and go for there. Ayeti just needs to go. How we're going to get rid of that guy, I'll never know. I think the best opportunity doing that is if somebody in his homeland, Switzerland, takes a gamble on him. I don't know who that would be. I don't think there's going to be anybody on the. I don't even think a Premier League club in Scotland would. No, they would sell him to one of them, but I don't even think a Premier League club would take a chance on it yet. I think he's just got the completely wrong attitude. Whatever's going on with the guy, I don't know, but he's just not doing it, and he hasn't done it at his last two clubs. I think if you're talking about who were sort of anybody I would want to bring in, I agree with Willie. I think that I would like to see a third striker come in, but again, that'll only happen if Ayeti goes. I think anywhere else in the team that you want to tweak it, it's up to Ange. I don't think we have to wait for Johnston to go. I think that can happen anyway because we're not trying to tweak the squad in the position he's playing because we're loaded there. So we're fine there. So for me, I would like to see us get. All the jokes are flying in the night. I would like to see us sign. And by the way, I don't think for a minute Ange will. I just don't think he likes that type of player. It's not what he wants. But I would like to see us sign a bastard. I would like us to sign a hard man, middle of the park. I think if we sign, personally, in my opinion, I don't think Ange will do it. But I think if we sign, and I'm not saying a carbon copy John Lundstrom, but that type who can do what he done in the semi-final against us, and be dirty, be horrible when you need to be, and be up for the fight when the game is getting physical. I think we need that, and I think if we get a player like that in, I'm not saying that guy will play every single week, but in the games where it will become that physical battle against like the Rangers type, I think a guy like that could be the difference for it being another title race to maybe winning it by 10, 12 points. For me, that I think I would like to see that. But again, I say I don't think Ange will. I think it's looking, I know I've argued to him blue in the face, a case for Julian, but it looks now Jent's coming in, Welsh is ahead of him. And by the way, that's not to say Julian's a bad player, but the way it is at the moment, looking for the outside in, Julian is well, you've got Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Welsh, Jents. He's fifth choice. We don't need 5 central defenders. He'll be out the door before the end of the window.
Yeah.
And he goes with my best wishes. But do I think he's a bad player? Absolutely not.
No, I've never said he was a bad player.
I know.
I'd love to see a Barry Robson in our midfield, by the way. See somebody that would just kick boys up, and he's got a bit of technical ability
just
as well.
Just physicality, aye.
That Barry Robson and Paul Hartley rolling back the years in the Champions League against Barcelona, like that was incredible as well. But see, the way you said, obviously, them types of players. I think in the comments, everyone's screaming out for that CDM. I mean, Egyptian King, Grant Mitchell, that's a cracker as well. That type of player, and that type of, the hard nut that these them. But I think Postecoglou said in the press conference recently he wasn't really interested in a player like that. And you're right, his style doesn't really suit. He wants players who can play with the ball and play at pace and close people down and do it that kind of way. And the whole Johnston thing is quite interesting because the Hibs link doesn't seem to disappear because they've lost McGeady now with a metatarsal injury for I think 2 to 3 months. So, there could be a wee interesting loan option there if that ever came to fruition. Which
that'd be perfect. I think it'd be
perfect. Definitely.
In terms of Ayeti, unless you can flog him to a blind man or something and say word for word, I don't know. But
I think the only way we're going to get rid of him is like what we've done with Jota and stuff. I think it needs to be a loan to buy. I think you get somebody that can take him on loan and pay them half his wages or something at least.
Yeah.
for the season, and hopefully he does a decent job, and then they want to buy him permanently. I think that's the only way you're going to flog him. And Ross has got him bang on. It's just his attitude. Because when he first came in, we were all super excited to see him. We all thought he was in the Gary Hooper mould, and he was always in the right place at the right time, and he was a poacher and that. But every time I've seen him play, you can just tell he just don't want to be here. He just let's get, and it's obviously what's happened at West Ham as well. He's obviously just a wee greeting face shite. If it's not going his way, he'll just spit the dummy out and just go on a huff.
Well, in that game,
I can relate to that.
Against that semi-professional team in our first pre-season game, he came on, 3 guilty as opportunities, he just fluffed at them, and he couldn't care less than he missed them. If he was really wanting to make a name for himself and press the manager again, second chances and all that, he would have done it pre-season. He evidently hasn't, and I think we covered what areas need tweaking because we kind of went into that in that kind of segment. So we'll move on to some early season predictions, and I'll throw them out to you, Ross, first. So we've got Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, Top Goal Scorer, and one to watch that you pick in terms of someone that you impressed you.
Player of the Year. If Carter Vickers performs the way he did last season, he'll be right in there. For me, I think it'll be between Hatate and O'Reilly. I'll go O'Reilly. I just think he'll. I was going to say he'll get probably more goals than Hatate. That might just edge it for him. What was the other one's Young Player of the Year?
Young Player of the Year, Top Goal Scorer, and one to watch that, in your opinion, could impress.
Young Player of the Year. I think it's very hard to overlook Abada again. I think he's 20. He'll be. I think he'll be 21. October time, something like that. So I think you can't overlook him because he'll play a lot more football for he'll play a lot more games certainly than any other guy around about that age. So I don't think you can overlook him. You'll need to tell me the other ones. I can't mind.
Oh my God! Top goal scorer and one to watch.
Right, top goal scorer. It's going to be between Kyogo and Giacomakis. I think they'll play nearly the same amount of games, give or take 4 or 5 games either way. I'll go Giacomakis just purely because I think he's a more natural finisher. And one to watch, I think, will be Moritz Jens. I think he looks like a top player. I think I've only seen him in that one game, but he just looks perfect for the way Ange wants to play. He looks more natural on the ball than Starfelt. And by the way, I'm not knocking Starfelt. He's growing me, but I think Jens could possibly oust him and get into that first choice centre half pairing. But we'll see.
Well, James Forrest did say, we had him on from the Celtic blog, that Jens, by all counts, was Postecoglou's first choice. William, and I think Paul Dad here sums this up perfectly. The fact we're even giving these predictions this early on points to the options for the first time in years that we've had in the team. And just to go through some of the players that have been mentioned, Ricky already Player of the Year. Monty Jada is going to rip the piss this season. One to watch, Taylor, again, him competing with Burnaby was great. Alistair, Hatate, her of the year goes to Jada. Phil McGinley, Hatate big for us this season. But for yourself at the moment, I'll run through them again just in case you forget them. It was Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, Top Goal Scorer, and one to watch.
I'm not too dissimilar to Ross, to be honest with you. I think any of our midfield 3 will probably win Player of the Year, but I would plump for O'Reilly. I just think he's going to be massive for us this season. I think he'll get scary numbers with regards to assists and goals, and I think just having the ability to create something out of nothing totally changes what we do going forward. I just think they'll do magic for us this year. But again, the likes of Hatate, and I think they all look magic this year as well. Young player again, I agree with Ross. It's hard to see by Abada, but saying that, I think O'Reilly. How old's O'Reilly? He'll probably qualify for young player as well.
He'll still qualify for it.
He might end up being a shout for it as well. Again, totally agree with Ross as usual. Top goal scorer.
No surprises there then.
I think I was going to say the exact same as him. It's obviously going to be a straight run between Kyogo and Big Gio. Although as we've seen pre-season and last season, the goals are spread out amongst any number of players in the squad. But I think they too. But I totally agree with Ross. Like Kyogo's movement is what makes his goals. He's actually not. We've seen him miss a lot of sitters as well. He's not the most natural finisher. Whereas Gio is just everything's just a one-touch bang goal. It's before it's even before the cross is even in the box. It's in the back of the net. And he only played half the games last season and managed to bag the top goal scorer. One to watch is exactly what you brought up there. I think it was at Egyptian King or somebody. So for me is Bernabei. I think in this team, the way that Ange loves to play, and the fullbacks are a massive part of that. From what I've seen from him going forward in an attacking style, he looks excellent. His pace looks frightening. He looks like he's got a good left foot on him, and he can pick a pass out. And for what I read, he can hit free kicks and dead ball specialist and all sorts. I think he might light it up this year. Going forward for us, the width and them bringing that, the fullbacks bringing that into it as well. I think he could surprise a lot. I think he might be a super buy. Still positivity. Can't wait, man. Be buzzing for it.
To be fair, like you know, sometimes I thrive in a bit of conflict and negativity and have a wee bit of an argument. But again, coming into this season, regardless of what's happened previously, you can't really focus on that. It's out of our control. It's out of what we can speak about now. This is exciting. Postecoglou's created this, and the environment, the players love it. Jens has just come in, he's fit it in perfectly. Bernabei's come in, they all gather around him. As you said, they're all out having dinner together, and regardless of language barriers, they're all fitting in with each other. And it's just great to see. That's where the personality for me comes in. The squad built around that with the quality, and that will shine through in the end as well in terms of the style of play. But for me, I'll go player of the year. I'll go for Hatate for player of the year. I think he'll be just immense this season. Hoping obviously no injuries or stuff come to play in terms of that. Young player of the year is interesting because if Bernabei has a great season, can he be it? Abada continues his goal scoring form. Matt O'Reilly, you rightly said, even Welsh, if he comes in and establishes himself and he nails that jersey down. So there's all different aspects to it. But I'll go Abada just off last season's form just to continue that in. Top goal scorer. Now you mentioned something, William. Kyogo, for all his movement, his runs, is not the most gifted natural finisher. And I do think he's obviously going to work in that and become more of an expert in that type of area. But Giakoumakis came in and he started like 12 games and ended up the top goal scorer in the SPFL. So I'm going to stick with him for now. That'll be my top goal scorer. So Kyogo will be up there with him, no doubt, 100%. He'll score plenty, but I think Giakoumakis will be in there with a shout to get a 20+2. One to watch. Now, what will I go with this? I'll go Ralston. No, I'll go Ralston. Because I think Ralston's been impressive again, and him and Giakoumakis have had a great partnership from the short snippets we've seen in pre-season. He come on, whipped the ball in the first time, and Giakoumakis gave him that look to say, you knew what I was doing there. That's like a form of a bond there that's coming through. You can see everyone doing. And just to come to the comments again, Kaiser with a fantastic point. They all speak football, universal language. Patrick McLaughlin, Kyogo, 40+ goals would do the trick. Imagine at anybody just giving Vincent Taddies. I disagree, Stephen. I think Kyogo isn't that finisher mate. That's 100%. But I think sometimes last season he did snap at a few. So there's obviously improvement to be made there because there were some one-on-ones where you're thinking you could have.
Difficult, I think. Obviously, if you look at the cup final and you say he's not a natural finisher, you think you're talking about nonsense. Yeah. But I think it's one of them. I think he's more a reactive player. When he's got time to think about it, I think sometimes he's maybe not as clinical. Everything's it's just a reaction. It's just natural. When there's been times his movement's that good, he's through on goal and there's nobody anywhere near him and he's got time to think about it. He maybe flushes his lines a couple of times. We're not saying that he's a bad finisher. No. He's fucking unreal. I just think between the two, Giakoumakis is I think he's shown that he doesn't need.
That's good point.
I think maybe Giakoumakis, he maybe looks like a more natural finisher as well because all his goals are reactive because of the way he plays. Kyogo, he'll break the lines, playing the shoulder. Giakoumakis he lives off crosses into the box. He's never on the shoulder. So most of his finishes are balls coming across the box. It has got to be a one-touch finish. He's not getting one-on-ones with the keeper like Kyogo will get. you're going to miss them sometimes, like you say, when you've got too much time to think about it. But they're both class, and we're blessed to hear them.
I think Egyptian King sums us up again. A full season with Kyogo and GG injury-free will be frightening. That prospect of playing whoever, a team not knowing who's going to start, I think it will frighten them. And the midfield as well. If you're turning up for a match,
I think you might see Kyle go out on the left a few times this year. I think you might
you
try and play.
You could do.
I know we watched. I mean, that first Derby game, and he played there, and he was absolutely wasted out there. Obviously,
he didn't have Giacomakis in the middle of that three.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be adverse to seeing that. And like we say, he's going to rotate the boys around. So I think we'll see it from time to time. It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting, and it's something we're greatly looking forward to, especially on this podcast. And obviously, just want to address a few things again. People in the comments have been involved from the get-go here. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, the wee community that's kind of come up with our channels, we grow, and the audience base grows as well. It's just great to see us interacting with each other and getting involved with us and having debate, which is all about. And also the membership, obviously 99p a month, whatever you want to do, take advantage of it. As I said, you don't have to, doesn't bother, but if you want to support the channel that way, that would be fantastic. And to point down to, again, if you're having a difficult time, if you're struggling, if you can't reach out or you don't know how to speak to someone, there's the St. Martin's phone number, Breathing Space, and Scottish Mental Health along the ticker at the bottom. And also reach out to us as well. We'll be happy to talk to anybody, because I'm sure you can see we do talk a lot. So we're happy to talk, and if we're needed, we'll be there. And also, again, this weekend's exciting for other things. We've got the Flag Day, and I know our good friend Russell Bhoys is having his first live show, fellas, at the Bullfrog in Motherwell. So to everyone who's going along to that, have a fantastic evening. I'm sure it'll be after, hopefully, a positive result for Celtic Football Club on the first official game of the season. But William and Ross, have you enjoyed this one?
As
first
always,
class.
mate. Pleasure.
Yep. Loved it.
Yep. And then to everyone, again, watching and going to catch up, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.